This is Groove Talk with FrogE Style.
Welcome to another episode of Groove Talk, everybody. On this episode, I am joined by Travis, and he is part of the band Aruba.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, good, man. Very good.
Yeah. So just to start this off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the band?
Sure. My name's Travis. I've been, playing drums in Calgary. Many bands, many years. I've played with, like, the Bitter Weed Draw, the Rumble. Yeah, I've been in Calgary playing music for a long time. Aruba kind of came to fruition. Okay, so I've been playing drums for a while, and me and my buddy Pat Southgate, he's also a drummer, I decided to kind of like start a band with him, and off and on for a couple years we would get together and just kind of like play my songs and work them out, and then it always was meant to be like a bigger thing, and we play in a bunch of different bands, so there's like a different revolving cast of musicians that come in and out of our practice space. And like one day, like Benny came into the space and started like contributing some songs, and then this really isn't a good story. I mean, like, the conception of any band is really not like a good story. It's like we've all been around each other long enough that we know we like each other, we like our songs, and and then one day it just happened, and then like it became a band. We started writing together, and I think like Mario was sleeping over at Pat's house, and Mario's the bassist of Aruba, and we just like asked him to hang out, and he started playing bass, and one thing led to another, and it was like we wrote all these songs in like a really short time.
You guys were all friends before that, and you all knew a bunch of musicians, and they just kind of came in and out, and the band eventually formed.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like people want to think that, bands coming together is like some special, like, you all like had secret decoder rings or something. You came together like Voltron, but...
Yeah, totally. There was no hurrah moment. Yeah. It just started,
Cool. You mentioned that you've played in a lot of different bands.
Sure, yeah.
So what kind of makes this band different from some of the other bands you've played in?
Oh, every band like has their own thing. They're like, the main thing that like draws me to music is like the collaboration of it. Mm-hmm. And I think different bands that I've been in, you try to like either force something or like kind of like recreate like a wave of inspiration you had. And I think the second you like try to force something is when it gets starting to steer in like a direction where people become unhappy, or like it just like is not as fun as it used to be. And like what I strive for, and I think the band strives for, especially in Aruba, is that it's always just like a collaboration, and there's no pressure to kind of make it a thing. And I think that's why it's been so fun so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess how do songs come together with you guys then?
Typically, so we have like 3 songwriters and like 3 singers in the band, and typically we'll like write a song on our own and then bring it to the band, and then everyone will kind of throw out their 2 cents. And maybe like the first couple practices, it'll just kind of sound like rough and uninspired, but then everyone kind of starts getting into this vibey situation, and that's when like people's personalities get to like kind of shine a bit, I would say.
Cool. So you said it's kind of like it's a fun thing, and that's what it's kind of always been, a collaborative effort. Nobody's trying to force anything. So I guess when did you guys make that decision to be like, you know, we're going to take this from the jam room to like the stage?
Yeah. What was our first show? I think our first show was at Night Owl. If anyone remembers that bar. But I think it got to a point where, like, you know, you ride that wave of inspiration and it's like you're having fun together, and you just like, it's great, and you kind of like hit this pinnacle, but then you're like, okay, we can't just like keep jerking each other off like for a long time in this basement. Like, someone needs to see that. And I think that's the whole ego part of being in a band. It's like you kind of like do this work in quiet, and then you're like, okay, I want to show someone because I'm validated by it. Pay attention to me.
Yeah. Awesome. And what was the reception like when you did finally bring it to the stage?
Oh, I don't know. At the beginning, like, it was really fun. There were a lot of drinks. I don't know, just like any band I've been in, it gets better every show, and like, you know, you get feedback, which is like the direct, you know, symptom, if you will, of playing shows. And yeah, they're just getting better every time, I think. And that's where it starts to, like, you know, make it a thing, and it becomes like you're going on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess what made you guys decide to, I guess, record an EP then?
Oh, that was a me decision. And like, you know, sometimes when I make decisions for a group, they're not the right ones, but like this one, I was feeling that inspiration, and I think everyone was, and I was like, you know, we need something to like solidify this. So I just decided to like go into this guy we record with, who I really like, and just like kind of capture that time moment, you know. And we recorded 4 songs in 2 days, and just kind of like tried to make it as natural as possible. And I think if a band is gonna like keep going, like, in my opinion, you gotta just kind of like pick the moments to like bite the bullet and just like put the work in, and then just kind of let the rest happen, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that, you know, going into it, like, all bands kind of need I don't know if direction is the right word, but like a purpose, maybe, you know, like.
Yeah, there needs to be like some kind of carrot at the end of the stick.
Yeah.
And like, you know, if that carrot is playing shows, then like work towards it, and then you like get the reward. Or if that carrot is like, you know, creating recorded music, and like you just need to know when to, you know, jump into it and put the money down, or just like play a show or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Did you guys know what you wanted at the end of, like, did you know what that carrot at the end of the stick was when you formed the band, or did it just kind of progress into what it is now? It
progressed into what it is now. And like, again, this metaphorical carrot, like, in my experience, is best not to like define it. It's just like, if everyone decides to record and like is into it and we can afford it, blah blah blah, let's do it, and then get that done, and then like think about the next step, and, you know, just kind of do these things incrementally until it becomes the thing. I think. So I guess what kind of music is Aruba, in your words? Like, I know most musicians hate this question. It's the hardest one, because it's like, it's pretty easy. Like, I can tell you the feeling I get from it, and like, you know, it's rewarding, and there's a lot of joy in it, and it's a healing thing too. Like, being in a band, it's a group, you like form this like this bond that kind of gets you through things. But the music I would describe is like, it's a collaboration of like different styles of like upbeat rock and roll, like garage rock, you know, maybe a little heavier rock, and just kind of like fun, upbeat party music, I suppose. Okay. If you will.
Cool. And is that, I guess, is that what was being aimed for in the beginning, or is this just a result of all of its, individual parts, I guess?
It's a result of all individual parts, for sure. Each songwriter in the band has like a different vibe, I would say, and like contributes different things. And like if one of us was to like kind of go for it on our own, like it would sound vastly different. But I think the cool part about writing with three people is like you can humble yourself pretty quick and be like, all right, well, that wasn't the greatest idea, like let's go another way. And people can throw their things in, and that's where you kind of like get over that cliff of, being scared of your own, well, for me, like getting scared of my own songs and being able to like, present them with three other people. It's like, it's just all a collaboration.
Yeah.
It's the important part of it.
That's cool. And I think that's the one thing about, being in a band is you're kind of looking for that collaboration,
Yeah.
If you wanted it just to be your music, you would be a solo artist.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah, there's something to be said about collaboration. And do you ever find it, I guess, difficult? Like you said, there's 7 members in there's 6 members?
Six
members.
Sometimes 7. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like, at like one point in the band, it was just like literally all of us just getting together to play music, and it was a lot of fun. And then, but then it like became a place where like just it's the like safe spot away from the world. Like for me for a bit, and it like really, just grounded me back to reality. And so we just want everybody there. We like just want to play with all of our friends. And like if I had it my way, there'd be like 10 people, but that would be impossible. Like I mean, just like the more the merrier.
Yeah, definitely. Do you ever find it challenging at all with so many members, or?
Infinitely challenging.
Yeah.
All the time. But that's like that thing where it's like you if it's a collaborative fun thing, then it'll work. And there's not so much pressure on one person, and it's just like it becomes something bigger than 7 people or one person or a thing.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess it sounds like you've played in quite a few bands.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what makes Aruba different from those other bands, if there is anything?
I would say like what makes it different is there's 3 songwriters, so it's like not one vision.
Yeah.
It is, I think, kind of just like what I said before. It's like it's a collaboration, and we're not really going for anything, and we're just kind of like we just want it to kind of coast at its own pace and like not force anything. So I think that attitude in like a project that is like striving to be art, that's the best way to do it, like in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think the difference maybe in Aruba is that like I think everybody's on the same page in that, and like no one has any expectations or like goals, which makes it sound bad, but like I mean sometimes having no goals is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be the best way to go about something. Yeah. I mean that at the very least it means you're doing it because you enjoy doing it. So I mean
totally.
Why would you do it if you don't enjoy doing it? So
exactly.
Yeah. Just kind of like leave it alone and see what happens. And so I guess the other members of the band, have they also played in a lot of bands?
Yeah, like all the members have played in multiple bands, and like everyone in the band in their own right is like a songwriter and records their own music, and and has played all the same kind of like festivals, and like we kind of are all on the same wavelength and just get along with each other. Yeah.
Does it make it easier having like that kind of, I guess, professionality to the band, for lack of a better word?
Professionality would probably be the most opposite word I would use, but I think having that same lack of caring is what brings us together. Yeah, it's very easy to do it. Yeah.
So the recording of the EP.
Yeah.
I guess doing that, and it sounds like a few of the members have probably recorded music in the past and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you guys kind of took from your previous experience and really applied to this EP?
Yeah. So like being a new band, this is like kind of my view on recording. I think a lot of new bands think that they like play really well together, and that like perhaps like live off the floor demos would be a good thing, or like just kind of like there's a lot of like easy traps to fall into before you kind of find your vibe as a band. And in my opinion, I think for this EP it was best to do it in the way of like tracking drums and then like tracking guitars and like just making it like a really good version of us, so we could almost like become that.
Yeah.
And like in the beginning, like the first couple recordings, I think that's important. But as we become a better band, like that's not my ideal. And I think some of the people in the band share my view, where we would like move to more like a more loose kind of recording vibe. But that's kind of the direction we took with this record, and it sounds great. Like all the performances on the record are really good, and the production and just like kind of what we came up with is kind of, I think, bigger than what we were at the time. But again, like when you kind of do these things reaching a little too far, then you kind of eventually fall into it, that's my view on it.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like the recorded version of a band and like the live version of a band should almost be different. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the recorded version of the band, that's like that's them at their best almost, or hopefully at their best, or the best at that time, But and then I almost want something different when I go and see a band live. I love hearing the recorded music, but then I want those little inflections and stuff that you get from a live experience and stuff. And I feel like if you're gonna kind of do it live off the floor, like that's cool and stuff, but it kind of blends those two worlds almost a little bit too closely together.
Yeah, totally. And like recordings, in my opinion, are always like a snapshot in time. And you can do it two ways. Like you can highlight your faults like with a live off the floor thing, or you can like kind of go over it with a fine-tooth comb and then like have something to vary from and stray from, live, or just to like keep it progressing, I would say. Yeah.
I think that's a really good way to put it too, is it's a snapshot in time, That's like, it's the music, because you're constantly improving, Any musician, any artist is constantly improving if they're applying themselves to their craft. So like that's where you were at that time. And then, as you play those songs more, you probably make them better, And they're just constantly getting better.
Totally.
Yeah. So I guess what's your favorite part of the recording process?
My favorite part, it varies like with the project. Like, I mean, some projects I really love the like sitting in there and like struggling over every take and like kind of just really trying to dial in a part or something like that. But I think like especially in this project, my favorite part was once it was done, and like once you kind of like get back, you know, what you did, because the way we did it is like we did it really quick in a weekend and then sat on it for a long time, and then, you know, you just kind of forget about it, and then when you get it back, it's like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome, and you kind of get that little boost of energy again. And, you know, I think my favorite part about this particular one was forgetting about it and then coming back to it, which is nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how did you guys decide kind of what songs to put on the EP?
I think those were the only done ones we had at that moment. They might be. They were the ones that sounded the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of like a spur of the moment thing. And like, personally, I'm like really bad with money. And I just I just got a bunch of money, and I'm like, dudes, we should record. And they're like, yeah, that's a great idea. So I just blew it all on that. But, you know, that's the type of shit I want to spend my money on. And it came out really good. So I don't feel bad about it.
Awesome. So like maybe as a newer band, when you first start playing shows, I guess, how do you fill out the time slot if you only have so many songs and stuff done?
Well, we had enough like to play our first show, which was like a, you know, I think it was a half-hour time slot.
Okay.
We had 9 songs or something, and it was fine. But like, especially in this band, honestly, like once we like got through that initial wave of songwriting, like we have a list of like, you know, I think it's at like 12 songs that are like in conception and we're working on right now. So it's like, it just propels itself. I think like once you start feeling that energy from a live show, then it's like, oh, now we're doing a thing. And then just like all this creation comes out.
Cool. So do you ever like test songs in front of audiences then? Try and gauge their feedback from them, or?
We will play a song at a show, and like it won't be done necessarily, and I suppose we'll keep working on it, but there's enough like people in the band that I don't think like audience's opinion matters. Like, okay. If we like it, hopefully other people like it, and I think that's it. Like, yeah. If we don't like it, we won't play it, but if we do like it, we'll keep playing it until people like it.
Awesome.
That's also my opinion, not anybody else's.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like that's the way to go, right? Like, if you guys aren't having fun with it, if you don't like the music, then again, it's like, what's the point, you know? Mm-hmm. So,
yep.
I guess, how have you seen Aruba grow over the, you know, time that you've been playing in it?
It kind of just like incrementally got bigger and tighter at the same time, I suppose. Like, it just kept adding people. It felt like every practice there's like another person, which was great. And then we just like kind of figured out how to be a band, I guess. Not that like we're amazing, but that's a tough one. I don't know. I think we just got tighter as friends, and like because of that, the music is getting better, honestly. That's kind of how I view it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess, is there anything that you guys maybe do differently that's, you know, whether it be songwriting or just stage presence or anything like that, you know, other bands maybe aren't doing?
That's interesting, because like, I don't know, it's weird like trying to compare yourself to any other bands. Like, there's so many great bands in Calgary, and like they all do very unique things. And one thing I do notice, just like, you know, about bands and like performers, artists I've seen over the years, it's just like everyone is getting better, and like better, not like technically, musically, but like better at expressing. And I think like one thing I really like about Aruba is that there isn't like a lot of like talking about, you know, how this should go or whatever. It's just like, I think, like, again, it's my opinion, but like we try to keep it as close to expression as possible. So like when we do play live, we can just kind of be relaxed and just kind of go with the flow, and like we don't stress if we like fuck up a song. Like it can even be like a fun moment, like having a train wreck. And, you know, my whole life has been like series of train wrecks, but you find the like happiness in it.
Yeah. I think that's a good life lesson in general.
Sure.
Yeah. Like things are always gonna go wrong, so look on the bright side.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
So how important is it for you personally to kind of have this expression through art, I guess?
For me personally, very important. Yeah. Growing up in Calgary is a funny thing for that, because like the industry is so, like growing up, there's a lot of opportunities to make money and like to live like a pretty good life. But for me, that just like wasn't appealing, and playing music was, and it's proven itself to like to be there in the face of like everything else falling to shit. It's like the one thing I can kind of grasp onto that like never gives up. And that's, I don't know. I try not to take it too seriously, because like I think if I tried to take it seriously, it would just crush me, like like physically.
Yeah.
Like I can't carry this. But yeah, for me it's like really important. But also it's important that I don't take it seriously.
Yeah. So finding that like balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So have you lived in Calgary all your life, or?
Most of my life I've lived in Calgary pretty much the whole time, except for a year I went traveling around Australia.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah.
Australia seems like a really crazy place.
It's a weird place. It's like upside down North America in every way. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Like geographically, like mentally, and you know, time.
Yeah. I feel like Australians are like warm weather Canadians almost.
Yeah, they totally are. There's a lot of similarities and a lot of differences at the same time.
Yeah.
To be exceptionally vague about it.
So I guess how have you personally seen the Calgary music scene change over the years?
It's like quite a bit, and I don't know if it's just me growing up and like becoming more aware of things, but maybe like, so when I was 18, like going out and like going to see shows, I felt like audiences were more engaged, perhaps. Like just kind of like crazier shows and like crazier things, but that might have just been everyone being like super young, and like everyone's an insane person when they're 18. But I've also watched it like grow, and like people being really supportive of each other. And I've talked to people in and out of Calgary, and I think that's a unique thing. And what's cool about it is I think it's kind of like hitting this point where like where people have seen the like kind of power and community of it, and now I think it's like kind of getting to a point where it can be recognized on like a larger scale. And I think people are learning to like, you know, accept this as like a thing that's just not going away, and figuring out how to make it bigger and better, and I don't know. I think.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. And one of the things that a lot of bands do tell me is that very thing, is that it's a very kind of accepting thing, and that's like very accepting and just community based, and that seems strange from other scenes that they've been a part of, where it's very cutthroat and like competition based almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like Calgary kind of doesn't have that.
Totally.
And even me just like being kind of part of the music scene, I guess, like I don't play in any bands.
Definitely part of it, I would say.
Yeah, I don't play in any bands or anything, but doing this podcast and just the amount of friendliness that I've seen just through doing that has been, you know, unreal. And I agree. I think that it seems to be getting bigger, and people are trying to do more things and more unique things and stuff like that. Yeah. And like really, if you want to go out any weekend, you can see tons of cool shows. Like there's cool shows every single weekend happening in Calgary.
Totally.
Yeah. Do you ever, being in bands, do you ever find that as a bad thing, like the oversaturation maybe, or?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's so many awesome bands right now, like I kind of don't get time to see all of them, which is a good thing too, because like, you know, people are just like striving to like make their bands better, and then if you don't see them in a while, you go back, they're like doing a new thing that's really cool. Maybe oversaturation, like maybe what you're getting at is like audience, and like I don't know, I don't think there's a lack of people seeing music either. Like I think as long as people are going out to shows in any respect, and like if they have to choose between like 4 or 5, that's better than like not going to one. You know, like if they didn't go to your show because they went to another show, that's still a good thing. Then just be like, oh, I don't want to go see that one band, so I'm staying in. Yeah,
no, I definitely agree. Because I mean, the more shows, the more money gets funneled into the music scene in general, you know? And,
exactly.
There's definitely been nights or weekends where, you know, I've had to decide, it's like, which show do I want to see? Like, and then you don't have to worry too much because they'll be playing again in a month or 2 months and you can see them then. And it's a really cool thing to see the diversity of music that is happening in Calgary. And it seems to be like every single, whether it be hip hop or punk or rock, it all seems to be going well, you know?
Yeah.
It all seems to be thriving in Calgary here.
I agree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are you ever like aware about how much you guys are playing at any given time? Like, do you try not to play too much, or how does I guess show scheduling work?
Like I've been in bands where we played too much, and that is a thing. But like with this band, it's easy just to like, you know, there's so many people that it only works out every once in a while. So it's like, that's fine. And that's like, I think that's the way to do it. It's just kind of like, let it work itself out.
Yeah. Just kind of go with the flow on it.
Yeah. And it depends on the group too. Like if you're in a group that, you know, is striving for this kind of like next level thing, it's like play all the time. Do it and like oversaturate yourself until people are sick of you but like know you. Yeah. And then but like that's not what we're aiming for. I think we just want to have like a good show every once in a while and like make sure it's just really fun. Yeah. So yeah, there's like different ways to approach it, but just depends. Yeah. Totally depends, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to the thing of like, you know, what you're, I guess, ultimately doing as a band. You know, if you're making your band like, we are going to be the next big thing, you know, you have to treat it differently than like, we just want to play good shows and have fun, you know? There's different approaches to it, and I think it's really important to kind of nail that down going into any band.
Sure. Yeah, expectations and like expectations, basically. It's like, what's everyone here for?
Yeah.
And yeah, you can do that in a variety of ways, or you can just not talk about it at all and just see what happens, which again I think is like my vibe.
Deal with it when it pops up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the EP release show is happening October 25th at the Palomino.
Yes.
Are you guys the ones who set that up?
We're headlining that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're playing with the Sweets. I don't know if you know the Sweets. They're a great rock band. And we actually played our first show with them. So it's like a cool, like, I don't know if it's full circle, but we just really like playing with them and they're awesome. Also the Varmores, who are a really good rock band. And it's the week before Halloween, but we really like dressing up. So we're going to dress up.
Nice.
And see what happens.
Cool. So you guys were the one who crafted that lineup then? Or?
I think like I messaged the Palomino about doing a show, and then they said the Sweets and the Varmores were also looking for a show, and then it just worked perfectly because they're great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And friends. So.
Cool. Yeah. No, the Varmores, it's one of the discoveries of this year for me. I just actually found out about them this year, and I've seen them a couple times, and yeah, I really like them. And
Sweet.
The Sweets are also really cool. So
it's gonna be a great night.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. So I guess is there anything that you do? Is there anything that you do differently to prepare for a show like that, or is it just kind of same old, same old?
We probably should do something differently, but I think that would be out of the realm of our playbook, if you will. Yeah. Honestly, it should just be like as fluid as possible. But we're gonna practice for sure. We will practice, wear some costumes, and hopefully put on the best show possible.
Cool. What can an audience member, I guess, expect from a Aruba show?
A lot of singing over each other, a lot of talking over each other, hopefully some jokes cracked at each other's expense. There's 3 people who sing. We have a percussionist and a keytar and a really loud drummer. So it should be a lot of walls of sound, and hopefully you can latch on to something.
Awesome. So, since it sounds like you've been in the music scene for a really long time, so what maybe advice would you give to somebody who's kind of either trying to start a band and they don't really know where to start, or maybe they're just looking to be a part of the music scene and they don't know where to start?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I would start by getting an instrument. Actually, no, that's probably not where I'd start. That's ridiculous. I would start by like going to shows and just talking to people. Honestly, I think the only reason I've like kept going so long is because of the people. Like, I would have got bored of playing guitar in my room for nobody, and just like, you meet a lot of friends and like everyone kind of has each other's back, whether it's like, you know, a kick in the pants or like 20 shots of whiskey or just a really fun night. I don't know. I think just talk to people is my 2 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's good advice, is just get to know your peers, I guess, you know?
Like, what do you mean getting started? Like playing music?
Yeah. I guess somebody wants to form a band. They can play an instrument. They think, you know, they're pretty good. And the next step they want is to form a band. Maybe they're younger, maybe they're older, who knows? But they just want to be a part of the Calgary music scene, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, like, honestly, the best way is just to find 1 or like 2 other people and just do it together as much as possible. until you get bored, and then bring it to other people, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess let bands kind of naturally come together and disintegrate as they do.
And also don't get frustrated. If you get frustrated, then I think it probably won't work.
Yeah. Definitely. So what kind of does the future hold for Aruba?
The future of Aruba.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to put out this EP October 25th. And then we're going to hold... This is going to be like kind of the first annual conception of Christmas in Aruba. And we're going to hold it at Broken City. And we have a couple other bands on. We have the Surf Kitties and... I'm not sure if the other bands are confirmed yet, so I won't say anything. But what we want to do is kind of make this like annual Christmas fundraiser. And just kind of like have a beach-themed night in December every year. Raise a bit of money for whatever. I think we're going to try to do like mental health this year and like bring in some like sand and like fake palm trees and just like have a sweet Christmas vacation at Broken City. So that's the immediate future.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. How has the music community in Calgary supported you guys, I guess? Has anybody like gone out of their way to, because I know you guys have played some like pretty big shows for being a relatively new band. I guess you played Sled Island and Big Winter Classic, and so I guess how has that all come about and stuff?
We just kind of I don't know, honestly. Like, we have a lot of friends, like, not like boasting, but like we just, I think, actually this is a good quote I'll do. Thomas, he plays percussion in Aruba, and he always has told me, and this sounds ridiculous, but he's like, if you just hang out long enough, people will give you shoes. And I was like, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. But it's something that he believes, but people just give him shoes, like randomly, because he wears his shoes like out, and people are like offended that he won't buy new shoes, and they just give him new shoes. So I think we just hung out long enough, and people are giving us shoes. So
nice. I like that.
That's Thomas for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So do you guys, having so many members, do you guys kind of delegate tasks that need to be done, or is it just kind of...
We try. Me and Caitlin plays guitar, and she's like a very organized person. We try to like give each other lists and do things, and we kind of pick away at it. Uh-huh. But we're not the best at it. But we get some work done.
Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything that you're really, really excited about with this EP launch?
The show is just gonna be great. Like, I'm really excited about the EP and like the artwork especially. The artwork's really cool. It's done by this guy named Blair Cowell, and he's from Saskatoon. And he's like an illustrator, and he also plays in a band called the Faps. I met him in Edmonton when we were on tour or something, and like the artwork is really cool, and the songs are just like really, really good. Like I really love the songs, and like the EP turned out really well, and it's just gonna be like a good, 4-song EP. It's not gonna change the world, that's for sure, but it's like, I'm proud of it, and that's pretty much, that's all you can do, basically. It's just be proud of the work you did.
Yeah, for sure. Do you guys really pay attention to the artwork that goes along with the music?
It's got to be good for sure, but I think it's also like, we're not nitpicky when we like kind of source out other artists to collaborate. Like, just kind of say like, can you do this, and do your own thing. And I think that's why it's like so good, is because you don't, like, the second you try to like delegate or like interfere with like another creative process, then that's when you get this kind of like weird conception of, you know, one person's idea. So
definitely, I definitely agree. It's like with anything, if you try and force your vision upon an artist or something, then it's not their best work, you know, because they can't get excited about it.
Yeah, exactly. You need to add that little personal nugget, if you will.
And you want as many people as possible getting excited about the art that you're doing, I think, you know. And then that really shows in the art that they make, and it kind of boosts up the art that you make as well, I think.
Yeah, totally.
So are there any just kind of final things you want to say before we close this out?
Just come to our shows. That's the whole thing, I think. Yeah, the Halloween was going to be really fun. And then I really hope that this kind of like Christmas project, Christmas in Aruba, can kind of like take a new life. Like this will be the first one, but I think it's for a bigger purpose.
Yeah, no, it sounds really cool, and I like Christmas in Aruba. I like it.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, exactly.
So I'll have all, you know, social media links and links where people can find the album and stuff in the episode notes. So if they would like to do that, you can just go in the episode notes and find that. And thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thanks for having me.
If you liked this episode of the podcast, why not leave a review? You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. For up-to-date information on the podcast, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us at FrogE Style Productions. That's Frog, the letter E, Style Productions. For more ways to support the show, visit fsproductions.ca.